Hey guys, so today I'm going to attempt to turn this old bench that we had outside in the deck into a play kitchen for Aiden. So I have this whole idea that I sketched out. Hopefully it works out how I see it in my head. So let's get started. Oh, I guess before we get started, so this is a kitchen, like a sink that he has, and it actually circulates water from low berries, so I'm going to fit in there, so it's kind of going to be custom made around this sink. So this is pretty much what I'm going to be using, unless it turns out that I end up needing more stuff. So this is the plan. So now I was just checking to make sure it fits. It actually ended up being off just a little bit because I didn't align it properly when I started doing it. I should have put the blade on the other side of the line, but that's okay. We probably can just like use a little bit of wood filler for that. So now we're gonna use this, I think this is the 6 inch wide to do the border right in front of it. The reason why I picked 6 inches is because, as you can see, the sink is pretty tall and I wanted to cover most of that, so that's why. So as you can see here, I actually decided to go with the 1x4 instead of the 1x6 because I had changed my mind and did something completely different that you're going to see. So after cutting it to the appropriate size, I use wood glue and a bride nailer to hold it in place. And I also used a wood clamp to hold it together. I think I left it there for about 30 minutes until the glue was almost completely dry. Then I put in some more nails to make sure to hold it together. So I originally was going to use that kitchen sink that Aiden has to do this like I originally showed you, but I ended up getting some bins at Target that ended up fitting perfectly in there that you're gonna see it I put in there right now. And I actually ended up doing a top for it that I can cover it and put the kitchen sink on top of it if I wanted to. So now I'm actually cutting the top part in half to have one side, which is going to be like the counter, and then the other side is going to be a cover that can cover those bins so he can have the entire counter to play with, or we can put the other kitchen sink on top of that spot. So I ended up cutting a 1x2 piece to put it back here. So to secure that piece that I cut, I'm using wood glue as well as the nailer, the brad nailer. The reason I put this is actually the back of it is because I'm gonna put a panel on the back, so I wanted it to be secure and not have a gap and be flush in the back. And if you have any glue that ends up spilling, make sure you wipe that because that will show through the paint. And if you let it dry first, you're gonna have to sand that down. So this is what it's gonna look like on the back part. That's why I cut the 1x2 piece to put in the back so that this can fit flush against it. So finally all done sanding. All the pieces are pretty much put together. Now I'm about to do some painting. So this is the paint I went with. This is actually the first time I'm using this. This is not the one I used for my deck. And this is an outdoor paint, as you can see. The color I picked is cracked pepper. It's black, but it's not like ebony black. It's just, I guess, black mixed with gray, you could say. barely all done painting. I did 2 coats. I just need to make sure everything looks fine. I didn't miss any spots, and if I didn't, then I'm done painting the bottom. And I actually got this spice rack shelf from IKEA that I'm also going to put together really quick and paint it black. And that's it, all done. This barely took me like 3 minutes to put together. So now I am actually painting the legs for the panel. I put some painter's tape because I only want the bottom part to be black, and the top part where the panel is going to be, I wanted to say the natural wood color to match the panel. So I'm all done cutting the back pieces. Now I'm just going to give a second coat to the little shelf so that by the time I'm done with this, I can put the shelf on. So for the top pieces, instead of measuring from here to here, I actually measured from here to here because that's where the pole is gonna go up to hold these pieces. So to make sure the pieces on the panel were straight, I used a square to make sure that we're at a 90-degree angle. The square is that orange triangle that you see that I'm using. I don't know why they call it square when it's actually shaped like a triangle, but that's what it's called. So to have the panel be secure on there, I use wood glue and also nails, a brad nailer. And I'm actually sanding the edges right now because I forgot to do that before starting this. So before I actually started gluing this, I put all the pieces together to see the distance that I wanted them to be apart from each other. I did about 1 inch apart, and I used an extra piece of the scrap to put in between each pieces before gluing them to make sure they were all the same distance apart. So to actually put it on the kitchen, I actually just use wood glue and more nails. I pretty much only use nails in this project. I didn't use any screws. I'm so happy with how this turns out. It turned out way better than I ever imagined it would. One thing that I did forget to record is to make sure you seal the wood, especially the natural wood in the back. This is going to be a play kitchen. There's going to be a lot of water, so make sure you seal it with something. I use a polyurethane sealer, which I will actually link down. Aiden has been playing with this every single day since I made this, and because we keep it on our deck, it doesn't matter if it's raining, he can still play outside with water.